Hello, I'm Rachel. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you an updated houseplant tour for this winter. I haven't done a houseplant tour since I think late summer, but that's just because I didn't really have a need to show you my plants this fall. I really hadn't had any or really much of any change. I didn't move my plants around that much and I don't know, just things didn't change. But I have had a lot of new growth on my plants this winter so far, and I have quite a few plants blooming. I mean, mostly just my African violets, but I do have a couple of succulents blooming, at least one that's really blooming, and I might still have a flower left on one of my lipstick plants. Anyways, I have something about like 200 houseplants. It fluctuates, so I never really totally know how many I have because I get rid of some die, and I bring in new houseplants all the time. So it always changes. Well, like today I actually just got a new houseplant, so you'll be seeing that as well. Hopefully this can be helpful to you if you're wondering where you can put your houseplants and like what kind of exposure they might like. I have very low humidity and I don't use any humidifiers pretty much. I haven't been using any this winter, even though I probably should. Some of my plants would really like for me to use a humidifier, but I just don't because I don't want to take the time to do that, and I don't have a very big one, so I'd be filling it up all the time. It just seems like a waste to me in my situation right now. And since I live in the high desert, we have very bright sunlight when we have sunshine most of the time as well, so it's very dry and my plants get lots of sun, especially since the sun is down lower, so it's really coming into my windows right now, and that really helps to push a lot of my flowers to bloom. So yeah, without any more yammering, let's get to it. First of all, we'll start off in the living room. So we have added an HVAC that blows warm air over this way. It's something that we added this summer for efficiency purposes because swamp coolers are problematic sometimes, and anyways, we've been utilizing the heater to help with our solar panel usage and stuff. So anyways, that's not what's important. What is important is that since we've had the heater blowing warm air across all these plants, I've been actually needing to water them more. Usually I hardly water my houseplants at all during the winter, but I've been actually watering these houseplants like every 1 to 1.5 times, or 1 week to 1.5 weeks. And so things like my fern, even though it's doing amazing, it is beautiful and just jamming, it has had some of the tendrils dry up on me. There is a new one. It keeps pushing out new ones, and so it does keep growing new leaves, but some of them end up getting dry before they can grow leaves on them. So, you know, it's still doing really good though, of course. I mean, for a Boston fern, no humidifier. We have very dry air this time of the year especially, so it's still doing really great, and I'm so happy with it. So over here, I just moved this plant here, this African violet. Normally, this African violet is in the southern window, but since it's blooming so good and it's been blooming for a while, I decided to move it over here to enjoy the blooms in another part of the living room. It won't necessarily keep blooming as well being this far away from the sun, but you know, we'll see. But it's been blooming for quite a while, so I'm fine with that. And that will give a chance for me to put some of my other violets over in the window that don't normally otherwise fit. Sentinel, you are going to cause a problem. Oh my gosh. Okay, come on. I'm not going to pet you over there anymore, Sentinel. I refuse. No matter how many biscuits you make, I'm not going to pet you anymore. Oh. So up here I have it's some type of an asparagus fern. It's not an asparagus plumosa, it's something else. It has, I don't know what this one is called, but it has the more spikiness to it. But you can see it's putting out more growth, and so it is doing really good. I just have to water it a lot. And it's not in a draining pot either, but it is a fairly small pot, and so it takes up all of the water very quickly, and so I'm always watering this thing, like at least once a week. Normally I water it every other week. Down here I have my Pilea mollis, which looks like I need to water it today. It's starting to wilt down, but it's still doing really good over here. It has a lot of new growth down in there that you can see. So, you know, it's just chugging along. It still loves this spot. And then over here, I have my angel wing begonias. I have this looking glass one right here that it's growing fairly decently. It got squashed by something, but it's growing back. It's not doing as good as it normally does, but it's also not getting as much sun as what it really likes to have. So you can see with this one how it's reaching really far over, and there's really not any growth down at the base. There's this new leaf all the way up here. They like a lot more sun than what I'm actually giving them, but I just don't really have space for them to get more sun at the moment. I find that this one does really good with like bright northwestern light. So like if you have a room that has a north window and a western window, that it gets some direct sunlight during the western time of the day, like in the later afternoon or evening, then they do really good. And I have an ogre ear jade, and are you the one that's giving this plant problems? Sentinel. He likes to put his face in all the plants. He doesn't eat them. Well, he likes to nibble on the spider plants, so there's that. Are you nibbling? He doesn't eat them though. He just does that. Stop with the spider plants. He's a stinker. Down here, my Oxalis are jamming. They're doing so good. I have so much new growth back here, and they're just reaching forward over this way. And I just love how that looks, having plants kind of peeking out behind the other pots. I think it looks really great. I have an umbrella tree that's doing really great. There's always a new leaf forming on these, like pretty much always. I usually only water this plant once a month, but I've been watering it like every 2 weeks or sometimes more because the soil just dries out so quickly right now. You can see over here my Monstera that I made a moss pole for is doing great. It's getting some nice big leaves on here, and it has a lot of smaller growth that I should probably cut off down here so that way it can help push bigger leaves. But having it on this moss pole, I think has really helped it to get more bigger leaves. So it seems to be pretty happy, but hopefully it'll start getting mostly just big leaves and not quite so many small leaves. I moved my Austral Gem Fern over here because I would wake up in the middle of the night and thinking that I need to water this thing because it's been over there. And for some reason, I just forget about things that are over there, and especially this plant. And I just kept thinking that I was going to kill it because it kept getting really dry and sad. And it wasn't doing actually as good as my Boston Fern, even though this is a hardier plant, because I just kept forgetting to water it. But I moved it over here and it's doing really great. So is this other little Boston Fern. It's kind of has a little bit of a crazy growth pattern to it, but it's finally getting nice and full and beautiful. I love how tight these leaves are compared to like this larger fern. It's just beautiful. Oddly enough, that spider plant back here, even though it dries out so frequently, it's doing actually kind of just fine. It's weird, it's actually growing. It's very strange. This monster over here is doing just fine. It has a big old aerial root that I took out of another pot, and so the aerial root kind of got a little upset with me, but otherwise it's doing just great. And I moved this plant over here, this neon pothos. It was over on the table that my African violet is now on, but I moved it over here and it's just growing so good. It's definitely very happy now that it's finally in a bigger pot. And then now that it's moved over here, it's loving life. It's getting huge. Now my Peperomia Isabella, on the other hand, it seems to be having some sort of a problem. I don't know if perhaps this is a disease or a fungal issue, or if it's just from me overwatering it and underwatering it because of it getting adjusted to this new kind of climate that we have it in because of it being the winter and being so dry, and it's just drying out really fast, and so maybe I've been overwatering it now. But it has all these little like dried up little spots, and it's never done this before, so I'm a little concerned. And this is something that like just recently showed up, so I'm concerned that maybe that's actually a problem, and so I should probably go ahead and quarantine this plant for the time being until I don't see that problem anymore. Back here I have, I think that this is a Marble Queen Pothos, and this is maybe a Mandala. Yeah, this says Pearls and Jade, but I think it might be a Mandala or whatever. Anyways, and I think that this is a Marble Queen. You can see that the Marble Queen isn't doing nearly as good. I have a little bit of it growing over here too. It's never been the strongest plant, and it's never done as well as this one or my Enjoy. So the Enjoy and this one have always done a lot better. The Enjoy has done better than this one though, even as well. But they definitely need to be watered more often than my other Pothos, but also not too watered. And then they also they can't handle as much sunlight, but if they don't get enough sunlight, then they don't have as white of variegation. So they're kind of obnoxious plants, but they're pretty. This rubber tree originally started off a lot smaller, and it grew just huge right away. And it hasn't, I mean, all of this is probably new growth from this year, from down where it's a little bit more hardened off all the way up to here. That's probably how much it's grown this year. So down from there, I have a Pilea Peperomioides here, and then a Peperomia Obtusifolia. So they're very dirty. I need to dust. I have not dusted my plants since before Christmas, so it's definitely time. I pretty much have to dust my plants like every week if I want to keep the dust off of them, but I don't because I don't have time for that. Well, I do, I just don't want to. But anyways, they have pretty similar care needs, and they do pretty good next to each other. This one tends to need actually a little bit more water, and so it's in a more, this is like a resin pot, and then this one doesn't need as much water, so it's in a terracotta pot. So, you know, anyways, they're doing pretty good next to each other. This one is finally doing super good and getting a lot of new growth. I hadn't been doing super great with it, and then I realized, oh, it needs water. Duh. So I finally started giving it water more often and paying attention to it better. And it's been a little bit happier since then, and I've been giving this one water whenever I give this one water, and it's been growing a lot more as well. So, you know, they just need a little bit more water, I guess. They still only get water like every other week though, so it's not like it's a ton of water. And then next to them is one of my variegated rubber trees. I have it turned around because it's been growing, of course, this way for a while, and I thought it could use a little bit of a change. But it lost tons of leaves at first, and it kept growing and losing leaves, and then finally it's acclimated itself, and so now it's doing a lot better. So I might end up with more of a tree form of this one, whereas this rubber tree, of course, is just all bushy. I mean, I could take off a bunch of the leaves and stuff, but I like it like this, and I don't want to change it. Oh, and there's my humidifier that I never use. It's over here because I used to have more of my humidity-loving plants over here, but I've moved them around different places because they don't all like this spot. And then behind this rubber tree, I have a Christmas cactus that yet again did not bloom for me very well. It bloomed for me around Easter time, I think, last year. It's so weird. But I have a, what is it? A Jade Plant. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's just like a Jade Plant that I stuck a piece of one in here, and it's grown, and it's actually really growing a lot. It's very stringy though, for some weird reason. It's a weird plant. I don't know. But it's kind of cool, and I like having more than one kind of plant in here. I think it'll be kind of nifty eventually. Fill out this pot a little bit better since it's not very full. I don't know. I think it'll be cool. And then back there I have my Thanksgiving cactus that actually bloomed for me this year. It still has like buds. Look at that. Like, they're like dried up or something on here, but they look like maybe they haven't dried up yet. There's a whole bunch of them all over the plant. It bloomed. You can see there's still a flower left from it blooming during Thanksgiving actually, which was very surprising. But I don't know if some of those blooms just never did anything, but like, or if they're actually gonna bloom eventually. I don't know. I'm just leaving it alone because I don't understand this thing. It's weird. But then I also have this, I think it's like a euphorbia is what this is. I got it at a plant sale and it was labeled African stick plant. So some sort of a plant from Africa, I guess. And it looks like sticks. So there you go. But it's some sort of a euphorbia. It has the white sap, of course, from it. But anytime this breaks off, you just stick it in soil and then it roots and you got another plant. It's amazing. And it's huge. I mean, look at that. I've had this plant for almost 10 years now, or no, like at least 10 years probably. Because I think I got this plant either the year I got married that summer or just before I got married. I'm not sure. So it's 9 or 10 years old. And I got it as like it was probably smaller even than this branch. How big was it? I don't know. Maybe like the size of this branch here. Yeah, probably about that big. It was tiny and it's grown huge. And then over here, I had my Christmas tree in this corner here, and so my peace lily was neglected for a month. I need to go ahead and clean it up. When I go and dust all my plants, I'll take care of the dead leaves on there, of course. So it's been watered recently, but it's still a little sad because it was neglected for a while and had absolutely no light. There's no direct sunlight that hits these plants, but they get bright enough sun that they're doing pretty good. And especially this Drasenia, I mean, it's having the time of its life. It really likes being in this corner. Then up in the southern window, I have a mini lipstick plant, which is just adorable and doing its thing, I guess. It's still growing all the time. Where are you? There you are. I have this sedum or Graptivaria or Graptosedum. I'm kind of thinking I think it's either a sedum or a Graptosedum. I don't know. I'm guessing it's probably a sedum, but it's cute. It might actually be an Echeveria. I don't know. It's just adorable and I love it. It kept getting mealybugs last year. Last year was the year of the mealybugs, but this year it's doing really great. I have another stick plant over here. This is from my big plant. And this has a lot fatter of a stem going up it. It's pretty cool. Mammillaria cactus. And then a kalanchoe. I know that I used to know what this one was called, but I don't anymore. I just forgot it, I guess. But it's beautiful. I love the sage kind of blue-green color that it has with this kind of pink tips to it. It's beautiful. And then I have a Sinencio, right? Here, let's turn you around a little bit so we can see you better. I don't know if this is like the butterfly one. I don't know. It's like a white Sinencio anyways, and it does really good in this window. This is the only one that I've had that's ever actually done really good for me, and I neglect this thing so much. And I finally, like every time my mom would come over, she'd be like, your plant is dying, you need to give it water. And because I just would forget it over here. But I've been better at taking care of it this year, and it's just really growing for me and doing really great. Okay, so now in this window, here, let's see. You need to be able to see the color of this African violet a little better because it's so beautiful. I love that burgundy color. It has tons more blooms growing on it too. But this is living over in the southern window. That African violet that I showed you in the beginning, that one has been over in this window. But I wanted to make room for this African violet that's been in my kitchen. It's got a bunch of dirt all over it. When did that happen? Anyways, I wanted this one to be able to start blooming here soon because I think this is my pink one. This is either a pink one or this is the pink one and it's just turned white and it's no longer pink. But because I thought that I had two pink ones, like a little bit darker pink and a lighter pink, and I think that this is a lighter pink one because when it started having more blooms, it started being lighter in color, and so I think now they're just white. So I don't know how the grower got them to be pink or why they were pink, but they're definitely white now. Maybe it's colder temperatures helps it to be pinker. I don't know, but it's beautiful. And then this is my original African violet. It was 3 plants, but the cat knocked over the pot and broke the inner pot actually, and so now I'm left with the outer pot. And you know, I have 2 plants left out of it and they're doing just fine. They're growing and blooming like crazy. They did have a little bit of a harder time because they got some mealybugs this last year, but they've come back from it and they look better than they ever have. There is a dead one in here. That was the one that finally died from the 3rd one. And then I also have another Echeveria in this window and a sedum. But then I also have this Kalanchoe Orchids that is blooming again. Here, let's see. Oh yeah, now you can really see the color of this Orchids. It's just beautiful. And can you tell the texture of these leaves? They're kind of fuzzy, not quite velvety, but almost. They're beautiful. And then these flowers are so cool. I love the color of them. I think that I've had this bloom for me before, but I thought it was a different color. So maybe either it didn't bloom for me or maybe it was a different time of the year and the temperatures had it be a different color. I don't know. But I love this like not quite ripe lemon color that they are. They're so cool. I love how the succulents have just such a cute little bell shape to them when they bloom. And then I have an aloe that I just always have these. This one actually isn't as discolored as it normally is. It usually stresses more than this during this time of the year, but I guess it hasn't really been cold enough. Growers will actually stress them out on purpose, different kinds of succulents and things to get them to color up. Most of the time it's fine. So for this kind of plant, it's fine. This kind of discoloration, I know what it is and I know why it's doing it and I think it's cool. Down here I have an Enjoy and it's doing great. I've been cutting off of it and propagating it in my fish tank and it's doing great. You can see down here. So that's what it looks like when it doesn't get as much sunlight as it needs. And then up here, that's what it looks like when it gets enough sunlight. It definitely gets very white. And it grows really great. It needs to be watered right now, but it's pretty darn happy. Oh, and then I also have a lipstick plant. This is a regular lipstick plant. So there's that. I have a Philodendron Brazil that's in a terracotta pot. So it's really happy. I've been taking lots of propagations off of this as well. I just recently moved my other neon pothos over here. This one was in my kitchen and it just, for some reason, it got stressed out and was looking all funky. So I put it over here and it's already getting better looking. Like it is almost looking like it's getting chlorosis or something. It's just weird, but it's already coming back and doing a lot better. So this is a lipstick plant that I told you was blooming, but oh yes, okay, I thought it still had, oh, it has 2 blooms now. But look at that, is that not beautiful? Oh my gosh. It's like the pollen on it is kind of purple and then the throat is like a lily almost with its spotting and then it's orange. Oh, it's so beautiful. But it's almost unassuming because it's green on the outside until you get up to it. It's so gorgeous. This one is in a pot that doesn't even get drainage and is probably doing better than all my other lipstick plants. It's like in a teeny tiny pot. But oh, look at the underside of this. It's just so cool. I love this lipstick plant. And I think it really likes being behind the curtain. These are kind of my plants that are a little bit more protected from the harsh light over in the southern window. So yeah, they're doing pretty good. Over here I have a few plants. These kind of change out, but it's been this philodendron and this philodendron for a while. This is the new plant that I got today, but this doesn't really get any direct sunlight unless I open up the door and then it lets in some sunlight from the screen door. This Thaumatophyllum has gotten huge and it's gotten some really big leaves this year. Especially this winter, oh man. I went and I took out a bunch of the smaller leaves and then it shot out some huge leaves. It just had a couple of big ones and then now it has a ton of big leaves. It's amazing and wonderful. I am very happy with this. I should link to the video when I got this. It's on my really old camera and it was at night, but anyways, it was a $5 plant, I think, at Lowe's that was in the clearance section, and it had spider mites, and we finally got rid of all of the spider mites, and it's just been so happy. And check out all these roots in there. They're so cool. This one's growing over the edge now. Oh man, I love this plant so much. It's doing really great. So this philodendron needs to be repotted. It's kind of not as happy as it was, but it's still growing. But so there's that. I just like this pot and I don't want it to not be in this pot, so I'll have to take a cutting and have a smaller one in there again. And so this is a dark prince or a black prince, something like that. Philodendron. This one needs to be repotted as well. It's only in a small pot and it's been in that pot for quite a while. It's been growing a lot though, so I haven't repotted it, but I think now is the time. Something happened to it. Someone munched you. I just love the color of this. It's so beautiful. The underside is just as rich as the top and it's gorgeous. I know that once I get it into a bigger pot and then it gets in a bigger pot and a bigger pot, then it's going to be huge and glorious and beautiful. I've never seen like how big these get, but I don't know. It's just gorgeous and I love it the way it is right now. So I'm sure that once it gets bigger, I'll love it even more. So this is my newest plant. This is an exotic illusion arrowhead plant. So another syngonium. I haven't bought a syngonium since the one that I just showed you over in my southern window because my grandma has one that I got cuttings from and I killed that one. And then I had another one before then that I killed as well. So yeah, but I love the darker colors of plants. The very rich, just beautiful colors that some of them have. Like, so I love this one, of course. Like, I really like the light sagey colors with the pinks, and then I love these really dark colors. Those are my favorites. So I've been looking for one of these, and then I saw one at Lowe's today for, what, $3.98? So I couldn't not get it, of course, because it's just so beautiful. So hopefully I do better taking care of this one. My other ones just didn't seem to like any spot in my house that I put them in. So I'm going to see, hopefully I can do better with this one because it's just gorgeous. Oh, I love it. I have a Drasenia up there that is doing okay. It's not as happy as my other one. I didn't water it quite enough for a little while because I kept forgetting about it, and then now I've been watering it as much as it needs to be, which is about once a month still. I was only watering it like every 2 months or 3 months because I just forget about it, but I've been remembering it better. And so there's a bunch of new growth up at the top, but I still need to go back and clean up some of the growth down lower. I'm kind of waiting for some of these other leaves to kind of drop off first, because what's the point in reaching up there if I don't have to, or until everything else is ready. All right, so then in my kitchen, I have some new plants over here. This one is still limp. When I bought it, it was kind of limp, but the roots seem fine, and it seems like it's doing okay. None of the leaves have dropped off, so I'm still crossing my fingers and hoping it does okay. But I have another rubber tree over here, and this is my new philodendron that I got. It's just so pretty, and I love it, and it's going to go upstairs in my bathroom. I guess these aren't actually Sansevierias anymore. They're Drasenias. So Sansevierias are no longer Drasenias. So I guess I'll just start calling them snake plants now. I think that this is like a bird's nest version of it. But it's doing okay over here. I keep moving it and it keeps kind of growing, but it never looks very good. I don't know. I'm not the best with the bird's nest versions. And then I have a pansy that I've had in here since this fall, and it kind of looks ugly, but it's there. So anyways, and then I have a peperomia. This is a variegated teardrop peperomia. Peperomia Orba Varagata. So anyways, it's cute and I love it. And I got this one because it's variegated, but then there's also some that's not variegated. And I just liked the differentiation of the two, I guess. I don't know. Oh, and then I have another one of these aloes, which, see, it definitely has not been nearly as cold this year as it normally gets, because these are all bright green. It's just doing great. This aloe is living its best life. And also, my ogre ear, it's all bright green too. So there is some powdery blue, but during the summer it definitely colors up. But yeah, right now it's not stressed at all in the least bit, being right next to the cold window. Then I have a Haworthia, and then a little set of sedums, and an Echeveria. Oh, and then another little set. I planted these up this fall, I think, is when I planted these up. Early fall, maybe. So this is the first update I've given you on them. I got these as a set. They're in a little pot at Lowe's. I think it was like $5 for all 3 of these in one pot. And then I just set them in here and they look super cute. I got them because I got this pot and I wanted something to go in this pot. Oh, and then these, they're not doing super great, and so I put them all together and now they're doing okay. Then I have another Echeveria, and then, is this a Raphidium? Doesn't have the white sap, it has this crystally sap. Anyways, back there I have a couple of Mammillarias and they're just fine. And then I have a pot with babies, and then I have 2 Monsteras here. This one is for my cousin. I just still haven't seen her for a little while, and so I haven't given it to her yet. But they're doing really great in these terracotta pots. Then I have some little propagations back there. They're just little Tritoscantias. Probably can't really see them very well. And then I have a very sad Guppy plant. I moved it away from the window more, and it's doing better now. Ugh, but it's still not very happy. I was doing really great. Like, this one was doing just fine for me for the longest time. And then it just got upset with me during the summer, and now it's happy again. So hopefully this one stays happy. But, oh, what is this? I don't even know what this is, but I love it. And I killed part of it. Unfortunately, I killed one of them in here, and so hopefully I don't kill this one. I kind of overwatered it, so yeah. But it's beautiful, and I've been looking for one of these for a long time, so I'm trying not to kill it. And then I have a string bean Hoya, which is just awesome, and it's just sending tendrils everywhere, and it's so beautiful, and I love it. And it seems to be doing really great in the terracotta. So then I have a string of something. It's turned into like a string of nickels or something up here, but down here it's like a string of dolphins. So I don't know what it's doing, but I don't think it's getting quite enough sunlight being over here. It was over back this way, so I moved it over here, but it might actually need to be in the window, so we'll see. But it's doing really great. It's growing like crazy. This is my first little Monstera. It's the same as these ones, but this is a Monstera adansonii as well, and it was growing where it was just, where it had no leaves on it at all. It was just a big, long stem. And so I cut it off. I was over at a friend's and I showed her how to propagate it. And then I took the end part that had no leaves and I stuck it in my fish tank, and it grew lots of leaves, and then it started not to be as happy being in there. So I went ahead and potted it up, and this one isn't as good. I kind of cut it up because the roots weren't. Anyways, it seems like it's rooted and that it's growing because there's new stuff showing on here, so hopefully it will do okay. And then I have a Fiddly Fig that is just super happy. And then above that, I have this crazy thing. Oh, look at this leaf though. It's like half white and almost half green. It's with variegation in there. It's so cool. I love how beautiful this plant is. But the other side is kind of stubbly and it doesn't really grow that much. So it's trying to work its way actually towards the kitchen as well. It doesn't like to grow towards the light. It likes to grow away from the light. So I don't know what's up with that, but it's doing great in this western window. So I don't know. And it likes to put off lots of peduncles now, and it blooms every couple of months, it seems like. Oh, and then I have a Scindapsus that is growing up and then around and over, and it's going crazy. I just keep throwing it up there more so that way it's not all hanging down quite so bad, and I'm always cutting off of it to propagate it, but it's beautiful and I love it. And then I have a Pothos right here that's getting nice and bushy. It just keeps growing outwards and not down, so I don't know why. It kind of likes to grow out and then up again, and so it's staying very bushy over here. Down here I have another Looking Glass Angel Wing Begonia. This is a propagation from the one in my living room. The one in the living room was my original one. It's with a Tritoscantia that keeps getting broken and it's not doing very good. It keeps trying to grow and I just don't like it, and so I keep kind of trying to take it out anyways. So I just want there to be an angel wing begonia in here, but they got propagated at the same time and their roots intertwined, and I haven't been able to get rid of the Stratoscantia ever since. I mean, see down here, it's growing a new stalk. So there you go. So then on the other side of the window, I have, where like the sun is really coming down, I have this Silencio Jacobsenii, and it colors up purple, but it doesn't get enough cold temperatures for it to color up because it's not close enough to the window, so it's just green, but it's cool still growing in this. And then above that I have a Bridalsville Tritochia that's just beautiful, and it blooms with little tiny white flowers. I like here, let's see if we can get up closer to it. So there's some purple on the underside, and it's just so pretty, especially when it has the little white flowers with a little bit of purple in them. Over here I have a Peperomia Isabella, which this one has been stressed out a lot more than the other one because I forget to water it. So I moved it over here actually. And it's not showing any problems like the other one is. So that kind of makes me think that maybe the other one does have some sort of actual issue. And then in here, I have my little terrarium that we made on my channel. I think like I said in that video, I haven't had very good success with moss from the mountain, but I was trying it out again. So I normally get my moss from Etsy or from a local park, and those mosses do really great for me, but this one, it's kind of foggy in there right now. This time, it's finally actually worked out really well. There is a little bit that died off at first, but it's come back and it's nice and green. So I just need to go in there with some tiny enough scissors and trim it up. I just haven't taken the time to just yet, but I'm really happy that it actually worked out finally. And then next to my teas, I have a Grape Ivy. Yeah, it goes by another name, but I can't remember it at the moment. But its common name is Grape Ivy. And yeah, it's doing okay. It's growing over here and trying to grow up with this Stratoscantia and the Jacobsenii, but it still kind of gives me problems. I'm always worrying about it, because it kind of will act like it's trying to die, and then it doesn't, and it keeps growing. So I'm crossing my fingers that it does okay, because I'll show you in a minute the first one that I got, it's just not doing nearly as good. And then in here, I went and I cut back a string of bananas plant completely, and I took all the cuttings and I put them in here because it just like it had all these long cuttings and then the rest of it wasn't doing anything. So I just cut it all off and I stuck it in some water, and then look at all those roots. Like, how amazing is that? My toaster oven used to be over here, but I wanted to have more room for plants. So this little magnetic thing that I turned into a planter, it's all the way back here, and the succulents that are in it are just really stretching. But, you know, let's see. Come on. I mean, they still look pretty good for getting like almost no light. And then over in the more kitchen-y part, this is the only amount of sunlight that these plants get during the day. They just get some direct sunlight during the day, which this one is over here because it wasn't liking the spot it was in. It was over next to my southern window on the table by the Philodendron Brazil. And it was finally doing okay, but then all of a sudden it wasn't doing okay anymore. So I brought it over here, and it looks terrible, and we'll see if it dies. I don't know. I think I overwatered it. I'm not sure. They need to be watered enough, but not too much, and it's hard to get it right with these ones for some reason. Oh, and this is a Mandala Maranta, Mandala Calathea, but it obviously doesn't look like a normal mandala, but I'll bring it closer to you. So you can see with this one, it has more of that more like recognizable pattern from the mandala. This one has a little bit, but this plant pretty much completely died back after I had it for a few months. And then I put it down here so that way I could keep a better eye on it. And I wonder if maybe it wasn't getting enough sunlight because it loves this spot where it gets some western sunshine. So it's doing pretty good. And then I have this pink Fittonia that needs to be watered constantly. So it's over in the kitchen, so that way I can water it constantly. And then I have two orchids. I have this one that is doing pretty good. Let's see. The light is not ideal, but you can see I checked to see when this needs to be watered by this aerial root. When it starts to kind of get a little bit more shriveled than what it is now, then I water it. I water these about every week to 2 weeks right now. During the summer when the swamp cooler is on, I water them more like every 3 to 4 weeks. This one up here is doing really great. It has tons of roots in there. You can see that one's even splitting to where it's like 2 roots. It's just crazy. And this is my only air plant that I have left. My son's kitten kept getting all my air plants. She just climbs up and tries to find them wherever I put them. So this is the only one that I have left. And it's doing really great up here because it shares like humidity with this plant and it gets water every time this one does. And it's always filtered water because I water these with filtered water. I just take them over to my sink and I run the filtered water over it and let it drain out. Above my sink I have a little Marimo. And there's a couple other little babies in there. I don't ever have to do anything to it except for when the water gets kind of low, then I clean it all out and clean the Marimo, but otherwise it's just fine. And then over here I have a couple little propagations that have been here for months because I just kind of like them there. And then next to the sink I have another Fittonia, and then whatever this is, I don't know. This is my son's plant, but I put it over here and it seems to like it over here. I just kind of wanted to fill in the space a little better. So over in the laundry room I have my seeds that I'm going to be starting in the next month or two, and then I have my fish tank. My husband's using both the plugs right now so the lights aren't on, but this is where I propagate all my plants, and I propagate the smaller ones up here. For some reason the wheel's not working anymore, so whatever, it's fine. Maybe I should just take it off because it's ugly. But yeah, I took a piece of plexiglass I took a piece of plexiglass from Hobby Lobby and I cut spaces in it to where I can put lots of plants in here. And I have like Creeping Charlie, and I have some Enjoy. I tried to propagate this and it didn't do anything. I'll just take that out. And then I have some other kinds of pothos. The Enjoy is like a lime green in here though. It's definitely not white at all. You can see over on this side, this Tritoscantia does great in fish tanks. I just don't like it out of the fish tank. But the roots are kind of obnoxious because it's so heavy that the roots fall over, but it doesn't, it's like grown that way. It refuses to be up in the water more. I don't know, but it blooms a lot and it just looks beautiful. And I have some Scindapsus in here too. Pretty much everything that I can propagate in water I have in here. The Monsteras are my favorite though. So then over here I also have an Aloe that's doing really great. It gets some sun from, see over here, there's some sun over here. It moves its way and gives a little bit of sun from here to here from the door. And it's just like a little bit of sunlight, but it's enough to keep these kind of happy. And then I have my little plant nursery over here of all my plants that are on their way out, or they're new plants that I got because they're struggling. Mostly from my mom. When she gets sick of a plant, she gives them to me and then I put them over here. So then in here is my other terrarium. I didn't make this on a video. I just wanted to use up the rest of the moss. And I just planted everything in here and it sure looks great. I need to get a piece of plexiglass to put right here instead of using saran wrap, but honestly this was working just fine for the time being. It's not like I have anywhere to put this in my house for it to look super nice, so it's fine here in the laundry room. And then over here next to the cat food is my ZZ plant. My most viewed video almost is me saving my ZZ plant, and I think that was like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago-ish, and it's really doing pretty good. This is all that's left of that plant, but these are all the bulbs that survived, that weren't rotted, and they're finally recovering, and I don't know, I'm hoping to get some new growth here soon. Up here I have another ogre ear. As you can see, it's in a completely different spot. This gets northern light, and it's in a very cold room of my house, whereas the other one gets kind of some southern light. So it only gets southern exposure, and it's in one of the warmest rooms of the house. I love ogre ear jade. They're just the easiest ones to take care of in my opinion. Over here in my craft room I have a big old Hoya. I don't know what kind of Hoya this is. it's just a big, beautiful Hoya with crazy tendrils, of course. Then I have a Sansevieria right here and a Pothos that is actually getting some new growth at the top. So that's cool, especially because I always forget to water this thing. I mean, as you can tell, I mean, it looks terrible. So over here I have a string of bananas that looks terrible. I think I need to stick with just keeping them in water, clearly. And then I have another donkey tail sedum. This is actually just a little propagation from the one that I have in the kitchen. And then I have a kalanchoe, which is a propagation from my mom's kalanchoe that's like older than I am. And then I have a regular jade, which is doing okay. It's never been the happiest plant. And then I have a gasteria, which my mom gave me because she decided it was getting too full, so she took one out, put it in a pot, and then gave me the rest. And then I have this string of string of pearls, which obviously I do a lot better with string of pearls and string of bananas. And I keep just piling it up here. I don't know why, I just do. I'm too scared of it not getting enough sunlight down here, so I just keep stacking it on top of itself. And then lastly, I have a Peperomia Obtusifolia Varagata that is definitely very beautiful. This is my only variegated Peperomia Obtusifolia that I have left because the other one I accidentally forgot about and I didn't water it and it died. But this one's okay-ish. I kind of forgot about it too. Over down here, I have a bunch of shelves and things for sewing, but I also have what is now, I guess, a Drasenia because they're not Sansevierias anymore. But this is one that the kitten kept napping in, so it's all taped up, and it's finally, like, seems like it's rooted in again really good, so I think I can go ahead and move it somewhere else. But right now, I think it's still doing okay, so I'm gonna leave it here for now. Oh, this is an eastern window, by the way, and so all these get eastern light. Then next to the northern window in this room, I have, just a little, what do you call it, a lucky jade? Yeah, this lucky jade is not so lucky because it gets neglected and I always forget to water it. But it's been alive for, what, 4 years in here? So, I don't know. It's okay. I almost forgot to show you these plants. These are in my husband's workroom, so I don't come in here that often, but I mean, clearly, because I haven't taken care of the two dead, this one got dumped on its head, and then this one, anyways, I just didn't water it. So, but I have this plant in here, which is kind of weird looking, but also I really like it for some strange reason. Like, I hate it and I love it at the same time. And then I have, this is another eastern window, and this one is, this one broke. Clearly I need to come in this room more often. Maybe if I stick it in there, it'll root in, but I guess I need to come into this room more often because my plants are being abused. This one gets knocked on its head, this one's broken. Maybe I should just move these out of here, but this is one of my favorites. I believe that this is like some sort of a jade. It's just like this smoky blue powdery jade, and it's beautiful and I love it. It's, I don't know, the shape of it is just really gnarly and weird, and it's kind of the best thing ever. Okay, so my bathroom, I mean, it's a bathroom, but I have this peace lily in here that it's just, I think I need to pot it in a bigger pot because I'm always needing to water this thing, like, more often than usual. I mean, there is a heater vent there, so that could be why it's been needing to be watered so much lately. I kind of want to put it in a bigger pot and see what happens, and then put that philodendron that's in the white pot that I just got over here. And then this is a northern window, by the way, but I have tile in here, so the light gets bounced around a lot. And anyways, everything's really happy, I guess, because I have this, snake plant. I just don't even know what to call these things. I'm just so distraught over the whole thing. But the snake plant is doing just fine over here. And then up here I have a creeping Charlie that I just cut back a whole bunch because I was worried about it getting too top heavy and pulling itself down off the shelf. So it's propagating in the fish tank, and then the rest of it is now bushing out more and it looks better than it did before. So there's my northern window, and then over here I went and I put this Sansevieria over here, or excuse me, Drasenia, and it's been in my bedroom actually for a long time, but I watered it in here one day and then I set it there, and I just like it there, so I haven't moved it. I really should so it gets more sunshine, but it's just too pretty, and I love it when I get ready in the morning. So I have a western window over this way, so you can see some of the light, I guess, reflected in the mirror over on the wall. That's the only light that really comes in here, and it kind of moves its way over, but it doesn't get much farther than that. It basically gets a peace lily, and that is it. All these plants over here are reliant on just very filtered light and my grow light. So I have this green Maranta that is just, oh man, it's so beautiful. I love how big the leaves have gotten. When I first got it, the leaves were a lot smaller, which some of them are still pretty small, but I love how dark the leaf color is on these. And then I have a green Philodendron, and then a cylindrica, I guess not Sansevieria, so is its name even Drasenia cylindrica? I don't know, but I have a little like starfishy sort of snake plant thing going on over there, and it's potted in like dirt from the ground. I got it from a lady and I've just left it in its pot. I really need to repot it, but I don't know, I'm kind of scared too. And then I have an aglaonema right here, and it's beautiful. I love the pink of it. This whole area like is mostly like green and white, and so I thought that the pink would be really pretty, and I love it. It's my favorite. Then over here I have my peace lily. That's like the pet bed, and this is like kind of the pet corner, I guess, because the cats like to hide behind there and tease the dog, and it's just cute. But this peace lily has been blooming so much. It has 3 right now. Yeah, I think that's all. I thought it had 4, but I guess it only has 3. So this one is the only one that has any sort of browning on it. This one is fairly young. This is the newest one. And I think this is the oldest one. So I don't know why this one has browning before this one. But in any case, it's beautiful and I love it. And then my last plant is this little airplane plant over here. I might have accidentally called it a snake plant before downstairs, but it's a spider plant or an airplane plant. I don't know what its like scientific name is, but clearly that no longer matters because Sansevierias are now Drasenias. So anyways, clearly I have problems with that. But this is my last plant, so yeah. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you have any questions, of course, leave them in the comment section below and I'd be happy to answer them for you. And yeah, I hope you have a really great week and I will talk to you later. Bye!
Bye-bye.